So there's not much mystery when it comes to knowing how to build stronger muscles, but when it comes to the tendons, then things can get a little bit more complicated and we have to be smart with our choices in what we're going to do. So I'm going to be focusing on a few parts today. I'm going to focus on the calves, the knee, in particular the patella tendon, but that's where it's going to come in use. And we're also going to look at the core as well, and I'm going to go into the lats. So, because the lats are highly efficient at helping with shoulder health as well. So what I'm going to do here, as opposed to looking at the complexities of the shoulder, is target the lats here. Now, what I'm doing here is a mixture of strength work and reciprocal inhibition used in a way that's used in a physio setting. Now, that's not to mean that you are in any way injured. In fact, if you are, you should go see a health professional in person. However, if you feel like you are on the mend and you want to start rebuilding yourself, then rehabilitation can be incorporated in what I'm doing here, particularly for some of the isometric work to help strengthen the ligaments and the tendons. Now, really, you're strengthening the tendons with the ligament as a byproduct. So, also, as a bonus, we're also going to work the muscles as well, but the heavy focus here is on those elements in terms of the tendons and ligaments. So first off, I'm going to hit the calf muscle. And what we're going to do here is 3 moves. Now, some of these might look familiar. However, where we put them together and how they piece together is what makes the magic happen. So first off, we're going to come to an eccentric load. Well, actually, we're going to go to a concentric and eccentric load. So essentially, we're going for a range of motion, but it's very slow and controlled. Now, I'm going to use the super bench here, and I'm going to use a decent weight, a kettlebell here, just to hang on to. Now, what I'm going to do is hold myself up in this position. Now, I have 2 options here, but first off, I'm going to go to the eccentric and concentric load. So I'm going to lower for 3 seconds, very slow, and then raise for 3 seconds as well, come up to the top. At no point am I really stopping. Now, I need this load to be sufficient in that it's really causing a challenge as I go through that motion. Now, hitting 6 to 8 reps with, say, 80% 1 rep max here is going to work the calf muscle. If you have an underlying injury or something just doesn't feel right, then body weight may well be enough, but you keep it very slow as we just did in that motion there. But over time, you want to get progressive and load it up. And because I said get progressive, also what we can do is put under one of these big bands here, a resistance band, pop it under the leg here. Now we've got a little bit of variable resistance, but we can add that to our band. So now when I come up here, now I'm really loaded up. And then I would go through my move 3 up and down as far as I can. Now, obviously, I'm not going through full range of motion at the moment because I'm just demoing. Essentially, what you would want to do is build your way up to the weight, progress over time, and you're going to start working. So it's going to look like you're working the calf muscle. However, what's tending to happen with this is you're getting a lengthening over time of the tendon, and that's what's happening. Now what we can do is come to the isometric version. So the first one was a loaded move. Now we're going to come to the isometric version. So here, all we're going to do is hold in this position. Now, I've not come out to full stretch. I'm in the middle. I've got my foot straight, or we're just holding this position right here. Find that sweet spot, and you want to hold this for 30 seconds. So as I hold this position here, you'll start to feel it all start to warm up. I'm not moving the muscle is staying isometric, it's staying the same length, but over time, I'm kind of wanting to be pulled to the ground. Now, what's happening there is that is the lengthening of the tendon. You'll feel it in the Achilles tendon. Up to 30-second hold in that position. Obviously, you do it on both legs. That is going to work the tendon in particular. It's a really great one. I like these over plyometrics, say hopping, etc., because that's way more explosive. The risk goes up. It's not necessarily that the reward come down, but the risks do go up. A combination of both is great once you're feeling really athletic, but ultimately this would be the starting point. So now what we're going to do, once we've done our work there and we've worked the calf, the tendon in the calves, the Achilles tendon, then we're going to look to lengthen. We're going to do that naturally through reciprocal inhibition. And what we're going to do here is take another band and we're going to work the muscles down the front of the leg. These are the tibialis anterior. So as we come here, very simple way of hooking this up. You could hook it up against the bench if you feel you can lock it down as well. Is all I'm going to do is place that band over my foot like so, wedge my way back, and all I'm looking to do is draw that toes up. So I'm literally just pulling my foot up here and it's working these muscles on the front of the leg. I'm not going to get technical, but we're just going to hold this position here. Now, by working those muscles through reciprocal inhibition, the calf muscle is on stretch and it's relaxed. So is the soleus, which is further down. And then we're just going to hold that. Hold. And then you're going to relax off, say 8 seconds or so. Can go up to 30 if you want to. Relax off, nice deep breath in. And one more time, work that again. This would happen after you've done your calf exercises. So there, for a process of 3 exercises, we've worked on the Achilles tendon and the tendons in general around the ankle. And what we have done there with our last exercise is use reciprocal inhibition to relax it off after the efforts we've done. Now, the combination of both of those things over time will not only help you strengthen your tendons, but it also keep the integrity of all the other muscles around it, the other ones that work with it, and help you function on a day-to-day basis. So there we've hit the calf. Now what we're going to do is focus on the knee area in particular. So now we're going to focus on the knees, the patella tendon in general, but this also works the quads in general. We're going to use reciprocal inhibition at the end to turn off the muscles and relax everything off, and that the combination of strengthening and lengthening to some degree through reciprocal inhibition is going to keep your knees super healthy over time and help you develop more strength as well. So what we're going to do is first off use the super bench with the leg attachment here. Now this may seem quite logical in a way of working the patella tendon here, but I'm going to show you a couple of ways using slow movement and then a hold, and I'm going to show you the best position to kind of want to get yourself in. And then I'm going to go to a Spanish squat style. Now that's a really great way of working the patella tendon. Again, in an isometric hold, it can work really well. And then I'm going to come to something that's a little bit more dynamic, a knees over toes lunge position that's really going to work the patella tendon, but that's more advanced. I'll come to that towards the end. So first off, what we're going to do here is do our slow concentric and eccentric movement. Essentially, we're going to go up for 4, down for 4, and we're looking to just work with a constant amount of load through the muscle, and then the tendon is going to really work. Because if we just push this up super hard, then what's going to happen is we are going to really inhibit the amount of work that goes on in the tendon, more so in the muscle belly, and that's not what we're looking to do. So as we come here, I take a nice position here, I want to sit nice and upright, fix myself in. So now I'm coming up for 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't want to lock out, I want to come just short of locking out. 1, 2, 3, 4, could even be a 5 count, and then come back up again. Now I want this at a high load. I want really to be 80% of my 1 rep max. So you may have to build up with that over time and work out where your points are and your weights are. You work in this way. Now over time, once you hit that 6 to 8 rep range with 80% plus of your maximum, you're really going to start working this patella tendon in here in particular. Now, secondly, what we can do is come to the isometric version, again using that heavy weight. And what you're going to do is bring yourself up around a 60-degree angle, there or thereabouts here, holding this position. Is you're going to start to feel it. What will happen over the course of 30 seconds? Nothing's changing. The muscle lengths here are staying the same, particularly with the rectus femoris that runs through here. It's running at the same length, but now you're going to start to feel it almost as if everything's stretching. If you really shut your eyes and focus on what's happening, you can feel this part stretching. That's the creep in that tendon that's starting to work. So you're going to hold this for up to 30 seconds. Now this load needs to be sufficient. And if you have any underlying concerns or any issues, then build up over time and find that tolerance level. You want to be at that 80% plus of your 1 rep max to really benefit from this. So you're going to hold this position for 30 seconds. So that's what we're doing there. Notice that I've keeping my feet fairly still. I'm not trying to dorsiflex and push them up towards me. I want to focus on this effort here. So as we come down, then we relax off. Now that all seems quite logical. However, we don't do it enough that we hold those positions. You don't really want to be down here where we're almost straight, because now this tendon's on too much length, and up here now it's too shortened, and the muscle belly contraction is good, but there's no length in the tendon here whatsoever, so it's not really going to get that creeping effect very well. So you find that midpoint. So once we've done that, I'm actually going to come to the reciprocal inhibition now that we would use after any of these exercises. But the way we turn off the quad is we want to work the hamstring. Now we've got two choices here. There's actually a real logical one when you're set up on here. That is to flip yourself over and then get onto a hamstring curl. Now, you don't want to go really deep into the curl. You just want to hold this position. So I'm just taking it off. And now when I come to this point here, I'm now working the hamstrings really, really hard. And my quads will switch off as a result of reciprocal inhibition. So that's a really great way, logical way of doing it. Obviously, I'm rushing through it here for the demo. But then what you could also do, if you want to get a little bit more dynamic with it, I'll disappear down here, but you'll get the idea of what I'm doing, is I'm going to push my foot. I've got a slightly bent knee. I'm going to push my foot into the surface of the super bench here. That's going to work my hamstring. And now when I drive into there, I'm really using reciprocal inhibition. My quad has gone really, really loose. And because my quad's gone loose, my rec fem, my tendon here is getting a relaxation as well. So I'm driving into that bench there. Count 6, 8 seconds, then nice deep breath in, relax. And then we go back in again. And slowly, 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 you can start to straighten the leg. Now that's a great way to use reciprocal inhibition to work the hamstring in order to tighten the quad. Now obviously you could do that all in reverse if you want to target the hamstrings. So you would use the face down position there to work the hamstrings, and then finish off with your quad extension to relax off the hamstrings. So that would be the flip side of working the hamstrings. So now what I'm going to do is set up the band, a strong resistance band, in order to use a Spanish squat style to get an isometric hold on that patellar tendon area. So here we have a strong resistance band, and I'm going to walk my way back. This is really going to put some pressure on me. I am going to be having to hold myself in a position, lock out, and in this isometric position we're really going to work the patellar tendon. As well, we have a bit of distraction going on. We're being pulled this way and we're trying to pull this way. So we're using distraction as well to create even more work in the patellar tendon here. Now we can do this singular leg, and I'll show that in a moment. But what we're going to do now is sit down in this 3/4 position here. Now you're going to have to drive your heels into the floor to hold this position. Now obviously you can load this up, and what I mean by load it up is we can grab weights and we can hold the position. So for example, if I come here, grab, hold, and now load myself up. Now I can drive those heels into the floor, keep the chest nice and proud. And then from here, we're going to hold this position. You need a good amount of force in this position to really start to feel it. It does work. It's very, very low impact. I'm a big fan of doing this. But as I mentioned before, you really need to make sure you get a lot of resistance on this band. If we come through with one leg as well, then we can take advantage of that. Almost a semi-lunge position, soft on this back leg, come down, drive this heel into the floor. Now I prefer this from a patellar tendon perspective in terms of working. So I've got 10% of the weight in this foot, 90% of my weight in that rear heel there, driving into the floor, holding this position. And you'll actually start to feel like you get the quivers going on there as well. And that's really working well in that patellar tendon. Also works the quad as well, but we're really turning the attention into this area. Great way of doing this exercise. Brilliant for rehab, but brilliant for overall strengthening as well. So this is a great way of using the band. And now I'm going to go on to show you how you can do a knees over toes in a rear elevated split squat style to really work the patella tendon. That's more of a dynamic move. Okay, and finally, what we're going to do here is get ourselves in this rear elevated split squat position. It's a lunge position here. Now this knee is going to be heavily traveling over the toe. Now I've got quite elevation here, 25 degrees I believe on this physio foam. I really like this. It takes any kind of ankle flexion issues out of the way to allow you to get that knees over toes. Now this is really going to load up on this tendon here. So this is more progressive, and essentially what you're going to do is keep all your weight on your front foot. This back foot's going to be nice and soft on here. Now you can load this up. You don't have to first off, because you're really going to feel it when the knee comes over the toe. This is progressive. This would be more on the upper end of this range of working to really work the tendon. So as we come up in this position here, I've got all my weight on my front leg. I tend to put my hands down as if I'm holding a weight, and then I'm coming forward. Now I'm heavily loaded and I'm coming back up and forward. And again, I'm in a loaded position the whole time. So this is very, very loaded. Now, if you do struggle with the knee, this is a little tip here. If you do struggle with the wavering of the knee, there's two things to think about. First off, you want to make sure your big toe, your little toe and your heel are driven in the floor. By doing that, you're going to get a really firm planting on the floor. That's going to prevent knee wiggle. But if you're still struggling, then pop in a training mouth guard, one you can breathe through. And by biting down on there, you're going to connect everything together. You're going to keep the connective chain throughout the body complete. And then you're going to really help yourself with your stability as well, particularly when it comes to any single limb kind of pulling or this kind of knees over toe action. So as I come up here, I'm coming up and I'm looking for that knee to track over the toe in the way that I'm trying to make it work. Now you can come heavily forward like this and come back up, driving through. Now again, because I'm putting all the weight in that front leg, all the weight is coming through this part here. We can hold, we can go for an isometric hold just like this. Again, same principle, 30 seconds. Or you can get dynamic, but a 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, and so on. Working through in that way is really going to work that patella tendon. And remember what I said before, at the end of it, use your reciprocal inhibition when you go back and you activate the hamstring in order to turn off the quad, particularly the rectus femoris that runs down the middle here. And that is really going to help with your patella tendon strength in general. So now we're going to use the super bench with the dip attachment here and a band and the seat in order to work the lat. Now this is a great way of doing this. We're going to use 3 ways of doing it. We're going to use the slow movement, we're going to use the isometric movement, and then we're going to use reciprocal inhibition to relax the lat off, which will come at the end. So what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to take the seat away first, but I wanted to put it in place just so you can see. I come down one side of the bench here and I'm actually going to hang on with my other hand, but I'm going to be working this lat here. Now, the shoulder is quite complex, but we're going to be working tendons within the shoulder at the same time here and all around. But I don't want to get complex with this. Just run through the simple procedure and you're going to be hitting the right spots. So first off, what I'm going to do is take this seat away, but we're going to use that next. Now what I'm going to do is grab this band here. Now remembering that the lat works when we extend the elbow back and we also adduct the elbow in. Don't have to worry too much about this. And we internally rotate the hand through and hence the shoulder. So we want to carry on that motion. So we're coming down, back and along, and that is going to work the lat. So as I hold on here, we're really going to get a fixing point, and I'm actually going to drive this hip away to extend away, and I'm going to come down and meet it with my elbow. So as we come here, we're going to take a nice firm grip. Now the good thing about this band here is this will really increase. So when by the time I get down the bottom, I'm definitely up to that 80% plus of my 1 rep max, and you'll see that by the way I shake. So we're going to go really slow. So here we go. I've got a nice tight pull on it. And here in, we're going to go down for 3 and up for 3. So as we come down, I've already started the work. 1, 2, 3. Look at the range, it's not massive. We're just working in that range there. We could loosen it up a little bit, but then we're going to come up and then we go back down again. 3, 2, 1. Look at the shake going on there. You can see how hard I'm working. And again, here we go one more time. Again, if I say you loosen off the band a little bit, you can increase the range. So we go 3, 2, 1. Still working though. And then all the way back up again. 6 to 8 reps at that kind of pace. Relax and then go in again. And you're really going to start working not so much the lat muscle as it is the tendons. We're certainly going to work a combination of both by doing that. Now when the seat's in here, we're going to use an isometric move, very, very similar. Same position again, you're going to get a bit closer to that seat here, and what I'm going to do is drive that elbow into that seat for 30 seconds. So as I come here, I'm going to drive down into that seat, and now what I'm trying to do is keep the pressure on that seat. This band is going to try and pull you back up. You could use a cable to do this, but I really like the band because the feedback is incredible and you can really heavily load it up. So here I'm driving that elbow in for up to 30 seconds. Hold that position. If your elbow starts to lift, you've gone too heavy and you've actually turned it off. And that essentially means that your, we want to get technical, your Golgi tendon organs have kicked in and they've turned off the muscle. We don't want to do that. We want to stay within there so that we can work. And holding this position here is going to fire up that lat a lot. It really does work. But remember, when I say fires up the lat, I'm putting the focus on the tendons in particular. So when we come through here, we can get rid of this. Now we're going to use reciprocal inhibition back in the seat again. Going to work the deltoid, which is the antagonist to work in this lat here. And we're going to do the opposite here. We're going to come up in this direction basically. So I'm going to place my hand on here. I tend to sit off at one side, hold my hand here, lock myself in. I'm going to drive up into this for 8 seconds and I'm going to relax off and do it one more time. So as I come here, drive up. Now, it's the deltoid that's working and that's relaxed off this lat. So with reciprocal inhibition, we're using here 2, 1, nice deep breath in and relax. Going again. So now I'm driving again. Everything here is switched off and I'm working again. Now that really, really works. The deltoid, which switches off the lat. So you can use these two in combination to strengthen the tendons around the lat and the mechanics of the shoulder, and then also use reciprocal inhibition to turn off the lat post-exercise. So finally here, I'm coming to the core. Now, I could go into a plank. That seems like an obvious isometric exercise to work the core, in particular the tendons within the core, the fibrous tissue that holds everything together, again without getting technical. However, the issue I have there is it is very, very easy to overfire the erectors in the back. The back gets very tight and then we start to fight. We get almost a tug of war in the wrong way, working the core, turning it off, etc. So this way, we're actually not going to focus on working the core in order to work the core. And we're going to get the benefits of both reciprocal inhibition and working the muscle in an isometric position, or the muscles and group of muscles here, and then as a result the tendons through one position and one position alone. Now what I've got here is a half moon roller here. You don't need that, something that's cushioned, but something that's fairly hard that you can drive into, because you need a little bit of feedback here. And what we're going to do is just lay ourselves down first off. So I'm not on the floor, obviously, as you can tell, but I'm not laying flat on the floor, but I'm here. I'm supported by my lower back or mid back here. And all I'm going to do is support my head. Now I'm going to relax my feet. Now, from here, I have one goal. We are not trying to crunch up. We're doing the opposite. In fact, what we're trying to do is drive. This is why I need the pad here to think about it. I'm driving my lower back into this pad and I'm driving my hands in, my head into my hands like so. And from here, I'm not doing it yet, but I will do. From here, we are just looking to push, 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 push. Now, what's going to happen there is we're going to lengthen the erectors. So we're working them, we're lengthening them to push our lower back into this pad, effectively into the floor. And as a result, we're looking to pull our belly button in, but don't overthink this, because then what will happen as you drive back, you will really find yourself tightening your core to the point where you will start to feel your core quake and shake, where it starts to work so hard, yet we're not going anywhere. So this can be sort of seen as a back-friendly reverse plank, if you like. Essentially, all you're looking to do, you get your hands behind your head. Your cue is to push your hands into your head gently. Keep yourself a nice double chin as well. We want to promote good neck posture. At the same time, this is also going to be working the muscles at the back of the neck here as well. So we're working a lot in reciprocal inhibition in one way to turn on the muscles on the other side. So as we come here, we're going to work through, and now essentially what I'm trying to do is drive into that pad. So I've started now. It's a comfortable amount, I'm not going crazy, and I'm already feeling my core coming in nice and tight. I feel like my belly button is pushing towards the floor, and I'm already starting to get the shakes. So 10 seconds in, so we're not actually crunching up, we're actually pushing ourselves back and down. And that's what's really nice about this. Now, obviously, you wouldn't talk as much as I am. I would suggest some Kegel style breathing, so in through the nose, out through pursed lips. So like so, driving into that pad and driving into my hands. Now, that's a really simple move. 30 seconds of holding that is really going to work the core, but it's really going to work it from a tendon perspective as well. And that's really going to help everything stay nice and tight and strong, almost giving you that belt effect around your waist. You could go in for 3 or 4 efforts of that 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So there we're using reciprocal inhibition of relaxing certain muscles in order to fire up the other muscles. It really is quite intuitive, this exercise. It works really well, and it ticks 2 boxes in one.